distinguished party leaders, Party Advisory Council held its General Assembly meeting to review the 2023 general elections and resolved as follows. IPAC commends Nigerians for their active participation in the 2023 general election, the seventh since the return of democracy in 1999, in spite of all the challenges we faced before the elections. The right of the people to choose their leaders is the bedrock of constitutional rule. The ballot is sacrosanct and must reflect the will and the mandate of the electorate in a free, fair, credible, transparent, inclusive, and peaceful election. IPAC will resist any attempt to subvert the people's mandate freely given to any political party and its candidate, and urges stakeholders in the electoral process to respect the wish of the people as sovereignty resides in the people. It is the only way we will collectively deepen the nation's hard-earned democracy. Council also charges the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to sit up and take its constitutional duty seriously to avoid the preventable glitches and hitches with its bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, and INEC result viewing portal, RF, that questioned its readiness to conduct the elections and the authenticity of the result declared, particularly in the presidential and National Assembly elections. Council also demands a review of the process in appointing INEC resident electoral commissioners to ensure only competent and patriotic Nigerians head the Commission's state offices across the nation, as some of the challenges encountered during the elections, particularly the use of beavers and RF portals, were caused more by human factors than the equipment. More importantly, the Commission must be transparent and upholds its neutrality and integrity as the electoral empire and discharge its duties without fear or favor, as only INEC will be held responsible and accountable for the success and otherwise of the elections it conducted. IPAC urges the judiciary to be decisive and uphold the rule of law in adjudicating on various election petitions before it as the last hope of all aggrieved citizens, aware that time is of the essence and justice delayed is justice denied. All solemn mandates must be retrieved to uphold the sanctity of the ballot box. Council condemns in strong terms violence, killings, arson, kidnapping of electoral officers, intimidation and suppression of voters that characterized the 2023 general election. They are outrageous, despicable, and unacceptable in the quest for sustainable democracy in Nigeria, and must be stopped forthwith. Vote buying, snatching of ballot papers, and boxes remain the bane of the nation's electoral process. Accordingly, Council demands that the immediate prosecution of electoral offenders and their sponsors to serve as a deterrent to those who desire to subvert the will of the people. It is the only way to sanitize the country's electoral process and procedures, so as to ensure that the people's votes count. It will also spur citizens' participation in future elections, unlike the unprecedented voter apathy witnessed in the 2023 general elections, especially the governorship and the state House of Assembly elections. IPAC urges INEC to start preparations for the off-season gubernatorial elections put its acts together and ensure future elections in the country meet minimum international standards. The integrity of the Commission is at stake each time it conducts flawed elections. The expectations of Nigerians are high and must be met in our collective resolve to build a strong, virile, united, progressive, and just democratic nation. Council commends the nation's youth who took advantage of Not Too Young to Run Act, contested and won national and state legislative seats, particularly those in their 20s. It is the beauty of democracy. Council will continue to deepen our democracy, ensuring an environment conducive for successful elections and sustainable democracy in Nigeria. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. So,
from AIT on what do we mean by stolen mandate. And you want in specific terms, which of the elections are we referring to? We are talking about the 2023 elections. And you cannot but agree that there were a lot of infractions, in the conduct of these elections. And as the one of the key stakeholders in the building of democracy in this country, that is IPAC, meaning the political parties, we cannot pretend that what happened, happened. And what it translates to, is that votes in some cases did not count. And therefore, if votes do not count, what does it mean? It means stolen mandate. And thank God, the process itself has a cure for some of these things, these infractions. That one, INEC has opportunity, to review the results, and if announced, you can seek redress. So the essence of seeking redress is to recover what has been taken away illegally. So that's what we mean by stolen, a mandate. We cannot tell you specifically which election we are talking about, but those who are involved are already before the courts. And the only reason why they're there is to recover what they believe was stolen from them because of things that happened in the elections, both presidential and governorship and House of Assembly, and of course National Assembly elections. Because in all cases, there are parties that are already before the courts to do exactly what we are saying. So we are now saying that the judiciary should step up to the plate and ensure that those stolen mandates, where found to be stolen, are returned to the legitimate owners. Therefore, what do we think? Well, I'm sure a whole act is in the making to address some of these issues, which is the Electoral Offences Commission Act that is before the National Assembly. And not only that, we also have the civil society groups. You have political parties, leaders like ourselves. We have you, the pressmen, that are not happy about what happened. That we are still yet to move the needle as far as vote buying and violence is concerned in elections in this country. And the only way it can be dealt with is through this interaction, through people talking about it, taking steps. Like I said, the National Assembly is already taking steps through the act, that Electoral Offences Commission, Act, that I believe will also come to effectively, put this thing in proper perspective and perhaps, solve the problems for us to a very large extent. And don't also forget that I don't think there's any country in the world today where elections take place without one infraction or the other. So it is not peculiar to us. But what is perhaps not happening in our own climate is the fact that we are not able to fight this thing effectively as we should have. And we all know one of the reasons. One of the reasons is that you have what you call the power of incumbency, which we are battling with. A situation where you have all the agencies that we are looking up to for free, fair, credible election appointed by one individual, who is the Mr. President, who belongs to a party that is interested in the elections. So this is why we have a problem with fighting vote buying, fighting violence, fighting impunity in the system. But again, it's a process, like we said. Democracy is not a destination. It's a journey. We're already in that journey. All these things happening are things that will strengthen democracy so that we don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. These things are not peculiar to us, like I said. But there are issues that are there, fundamental issues like the one I have mentioned, where the INEC chairman, the Inspector General of Police, the DSS, all the agencies you want to perform are accountable to one individual. So this is the problem. We must address it. Otherwise, no matter what we do, we will still be where we are today. It's a vicious cycle. But we know the problem, and we are capable of solving that problem.